Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. Since I'm actually working on a free sample pack for you guys, I definitely want to do some more sample tutorials on the channel. So today I'm basically just going to show you guys how you can make your samples sound a bit more unique. So I'm going to show you guys some tricks that's going to separate your samples from the rest. So make sure you guys stay to the end of the video to see all the tricks you can implement in your own samples. So I actually just made a sample right here, and I'm quickly just going to break down the sample, show you guys some tricks to make it more unique, and then we'll also just make a quick beat over it at the end. So to start off with, this is how the sample sounds. So as you guys could hear, it's actually sounding a bit different than usual. So I'm just going to start off by breaking down the first sound. So the first thing you guys can do to make your samples more unique is obviously to use unique sounding sounds. It may sound simple, but sound selection is definitely key when it comes to making unique samples. So as an example, in this sample, I'm using this lo-fi glow bank in Contact. It's actually a pretty well-known bank, but I don't really see producers using it because it's so hard to find good sounding sounds. So a super cool thing I did in this sample, which you guys can do on your own, is I went to this crusty preset right here, but I didn't really like the way it sounded. So to switch up the sound a bit, I actually went to this A section right here and just skimmed through the presets until I found a sound that sounded nice. So then I just chose this velvet drip preset right here, and it made the sound completely different. So this is how the sound sounds without any effects. So people would usually maybe hear this sound and think, yeah, it's good, but it's not the sound that they would be looking for. But with the effects, you guys can change the whole sound, and that's definitely going to make the sound more unique. As for the chord progression on this one, I'm going to show you how you can make something similar to this. So I'm just going to delete this pattern first. Now the key we're working in is E minor, and the BPM is 165. Now people would usually do something like this. They would just use a normal E minor chord, invert this by pitching it up, do maybe one note here, here, and here. Then they will just shorten these, paste it over, and pitch down by 5. Then just copy this over, and that's pretty much it. That's what people will usually do. Now I'm definitely doing something similar, but to make it a bit more unique, we're going to change some of the notes. So the first thing is we're going to do the same chord like this. Then we're also going to invert this one by 1 octave up, but instead of having it at the G5, we're just going to pitch it down by 1 semitone. So now it sounds like this. So the chord sounds a bit different. Now people would usually just pick some random notes like this. To make it a bit more unique, you can actually use these notes that we're already using. So I'm just going to cut this E right here and also this B right here. Now instead of having them playing like this, we're actually just going to pitch it up by 1 octave. So we still have the same note playing, it's just 1 octave above. Now for this last part, I'm actually going to do the same thing. Just cut this F sharp right here and pitch it up by 1 octave. But instead of having the same note playing again, we're actually going to pitch it up by 1 octave since we pitched this one down from the G to the F. So now we can paste this over and pitch it down by 5. But to switch it up again, instead of having this D playing right here, then we can just pitch it down by 5. Now this C sharp is in the key, so just pitch it up by 1. And then to switch it up on this second part, instead of having this D playing high right here, we can actually just lower it by 1 octave and cutting this. Now copy this over again, and we can switch it up a bit on this part as well. Instead of having the same G right here, we can just pitch this down by 1. So it's basically just small differences here and there that's going to make a huge difference to the sound. So this is how it sounds now. So now let me just paste my original pattern back. Remember to adjust the velocity and also randomize the panning. Now as for the effects on this one, I first started off using this NS1 stereo right here. It's basically just going to remove the noise in the background. Then I just added this halftime. So you can see I put the mix to 85%. And then I put this FX channel right here all the way to the left. It's going to give this cool sounding pulsing effect. Next thing I added was this roam, just 30% standard settings. And lastly, just an EQ to cut out the frequencies I didn't want in the sound. So this is how it sounded before the effects. And this is how it sounds with all the effects on. So you guys can see the effects make a huge difference to the sound. So make sure you guys use good sounding effects, and also try to use some different presets and switch up the effects channels. It's gonna make the sound a bit unique, just like I did with the halftime. The next sound I used was this metal flux in contact. This is a pretty popular bank. It's used a lot in samples, but the thing is, you would usually just hear people use this glockenspiel, the normal Celesta preset. But the second thing you guys can do if you want a more unique sound is to make sure you guys look through these presets that people don't usually use. And you can also adjust some of the envelopes in the sound as well. So I pretty much see nobody using this reverse sound in the Celesta section, and then you can also adjust the envelope and the attack to make it sound like the way you want to. Then I pretty much copied the exact same pattern from the previous sound, and I just pitched it down by 1 octave. Then it sounds like this. For the effects on that one, I just have a roam on 38%. Then I have a pancake to pan it from left to right. And I also have a guitar rig, just using the older days preset. Usually you would see people use guitar rig only on guitar, but it's a super cool plugin you guys can try out on different sounds. So that's also a trick you guys can do. So the third thing you guys can do to make your samples sound more unique is to make sure you guys use textures in your samples. So in this sample, I'm just using this texture right here. It's kind of in the background, but it's going to make a huge difference to the sample. As for where you guys can find textures, I definitely have some cool sounding textures in my drum kit. You have this jungle texture right here. I also have this muffled texture right here. And also some more different sounding textures. You can in general just find them in like texture packs, in drum kits, and so on. Now together with the different parts and the texture, the sound sounds like this. So you can definitely hear the texture in the background of the sample, and it gives it a bit more life, so it sounds amazing. The fourth tip you guys can do to make your sounds a bit more unique is actually, if you guys are using arcade, try using banks that are not usually being used. So when it comes to arcade, people usually just go for the hooked, drip, or the distant voices banks. They are pretty much the 3 go-to banks everybody uses. So those sounds have been used like a ton. But if you want a more unique sound, try scrolling down a bit and using some banks that aren't really usually used. You pretty much have this taped bank right here. It literally has like a crazy amount of good sounds, but I have literally never seen anybody use this. And also for the texture I used in this sample, it actually comes from this Field of Sounds bank in arcade. And bro, I have actually literally never seen anybody even open this bank up, but it has some super cool sounds. So make sure you guys look through the different sounds that aren't usually used when it comes to arcade. So as for the flute I'm using, it's just this Ditch Digger preset right here, and it sounds like this. Lastly, I just added this sub bass right here. Pretty much just following the root note of the sample. So that's pretty much how you guys can make your samples sound a bit more unique. So now let's get on to the drums. As for the drums, I'm just going to use my No Limit drum kit. Start off with this start open hi right here, and also this foam clap. Get some nice hi-hats. We can use this rim right here. Yeah, this percats bounce. Now let's add the 808. Oof, I love this radio one right here. Let me just add a kick to that too. Oof. But that's pretty much it for me, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure to implement these super cool tricks so you can make your own samples a bit more unique. But if you need drum sound sample kits and so on, make sure you just check out my website. It's BBMarko.com. The link is of course down below. Besides that, I thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you guys next time.
Shut up, Marko.